Alright, so after defeating Poland and Lithuania at Warsaw, now we're going to take them on in Hungary and try and defeat those two armies. Alright, so this battle got pretty intense, so I wasn't very talkative, so I will provide some narration now after the fact. So I ended up setting up quite a bit further back from the river than I kind of expected to, and the Polish Lithuanian forces come over the river on my left flank pretty darn quick, so that forces me into a quick defensive position, and you can see there's a lot of cav flooding to that area, so I've got to try to do something to plug that gap, because I don't want all that cav rolling behind my cannons, because I kind of like these cannons and I wouldn't really want to lose all of them, especially going against a large army like this. I really need those cannons, so I'm going to try to do the best I can to plug this big flood of cav coming over on my left, while the basic infantry units from the right flank and my center come slowly marching up. It gives me the time to knock out the first two cav units as I place my first two line over there to stick them while my other line shoots them up. So that worked out pretty well, but now I've got the Polish lines coming over, and I'm going to have a lot more problems coming over on the left flank. So the left flank is looking pretty grim. You can see some more cav coming over the river, and I'm going to use 2 units to try to hold that unit from coming over, well, really one, and one to hold the line back, so 2 units in theory. And then my other 2 units on the left side are not really close to my artillery, but close enough to give them some kind of support. You can see over here on the right, I got another cav flanking me from behind, so I'm going to flip a line around to protect, while you can see over here by the river it's getting pretty fierce. There's more cav coming in, so things are looking pretty grim. I'm getting 2 to 3 lines doubling up on me, so I'm going to kite this line back to try and stall, while these other 2 lines were, you can see I routed another cav that got into my lines, but I'm going to be forced back over there as well. My artillery is trying to eliminate these lines in the center, and then I realize this cav is creeped up behind me, and I can't afford for that cav to get into my artillery, so I've got to flip another line around to deal with that, and now I've got the lines pushing up on me, so I've got to regroup there as well. Now you can see all the forces I'm dealing with coming over the river, and the ones coming up to support the units coming over the river, just making it quite difficult experience over there. And now they're starting to get a breakthrough in the river, and yeah, it's not faring well there, but it did stall and give me some valuable time, but it does look like I'm going to lose both of those line units there, which is not really something I wanted to have happen. But my artillery's doing the job there, while I'm able to try to reposition my other lines, fold them back behind my artillery so my artillery can shoot up this other line and really give it some demoralization, if you will, and then my lines can reload and give them some more volleys. So now it's time to understand that I've got to pull back, and so I'm going to unlimber the cannons, or limber them, whichever it is. I can never get that right. But I've also got some units coming up fast on my right flank, so I'm going to try and deal with that. And I'm going to push these other 2 line over to cover my artillery's escape, because they are slow as molasses moving. So I'm just going to take volleys and fold back as my artillery is rolling. And again, I got this cav unit, so that's going to provide the AI with some mobility and caused me quite a bit of problems, but I'm going to try to do the best I can to deal with that cav. And looks like I got another one coming up behind, so I'm just going to keep shooting and folding back and repositioning to give flanking fire, and as best I can. Luckily I do handle the unit on the right, so yeah, it's just constantly trying to reposition myself where I can keep them moving and keep my guys shooting. And after I shoot, roll back so I'm not taking unnecessary volleys. Now over here it's pretty on the fence on the left. If I lose these two units, it's going to be pretty tough for me to win this. Luckily I just barely pull through on that and break that cav unit, and the other one hopefully will break here along with it, and it does. And their lines are pushing towards my 3 lines here, and kindly going right into my fresh volleys ready for them. So my 2 lines on the left are pretty beat down, and I'm going to keep folding back my lines in the center towards my artillery while my artillery is getting set up. Then I plan on kind of unveiling my artillery to these lines in the center, kind of almost like, when you're at a play and you the curtain slides to the left a little bit, and the audience is shocked by seeing the performers or whatever. So that's kind of, or almost like when you're at the you see those guys with the tablecloth and they rip the tablecloth out with all the dishes still on it. That's kind of the experience I want these Polish-Lithuanian forces to have when I open up with all my artillery. And it looks like 2 of the line are going to kind of sneak between the, pardon if I say, but the crack of my lines here. So I'm going to be able to go ahead and open up with 2 of my artillery units right now, and that's going to be great. And I'm going to start shifting my other 2 lines stage left and prepare for my other artillery to start opening up on the units in the center. So exit stage left. Here it goes. Time to pour it on them. And you can see between the artillery fire and the musket fire, these lines over here on the right, they don't quite like it so much. And I can't really say I blame them, but it is what it is, guys. So here it is. I'm about to unveil the rest of my artillery and keep these lines folding back to suck them into the devastation that they so desperately need, and really pays off in big dividends here. So I'm gonna maneuver up to keep shooting volleys into them, but I was realizing I was getting a little aggressive. My 2 lines are pretty depleted, so I'm going to pull those 2 out, and eventually I'm going to try to roll them to my other flank just to support that flank with the 1 line, just in case they go over there. But also gives those 2 lines a much needed break from losing men. So you can see here, just keep whittling them down, take my shots, and roll back. And that has worked for me all battle, so I'm just going to continue that and light them up with artillery all the way. So here we go, got all my volleys, and fade back a little bit, give my guys some time to reload, give my artillery some time to unload as well. And yeah, this was a pretty intense battle. I really enjoyed this one. So AI, good game AI, you did quite well in this one, even though you didn't really make it too far. So I hope you enjoyed this narration of this battle, because it was a quite fun battle, to say the least. And I really needed this battle to come out, because eliminating these 2 armies, which were pretty decent strength armies for Poland, Lithuania. It's going to leave the door wide open for me to take Transylvania, and once I take Transylvania, that's pretty much going to leave me a open road to take all the southern regions from Poland, Lithuania, and just going to be the absolute breaking of their army. If you thought losing Warsaw was bad, Poland, Lithuania, it's going to get way worse now. Way worse.
Failure to comply will lead to an organized rebellion.
That lady always thinks she's so smart. Alright, so we got the fleet here. And a little pirate fleet to deal with, if you will. So we'll get some of our guys on some trade routes. I don't really need them involved in the battle. Don't want them taking unnecessary damage. Now it's going to be time to deal with these guys and make some money, and here we go. The results are in. Money is made. Should have took the trade ship though. Oops. Alright. Time to check out the naval. Now this army that dealt with the rebellion over here in Portugal, I'm going to have to take them back to Portugal. It's not ready to be left alone, if you will. And got still quite a bit of time left in Madrid. Now, I've got my army over here on the coast of Sweden. I'm going to use my fleet to block, hopefully, Denmark's path from being able to go into Hanover, because I definitely don't want that happening. So now, next turn, I'll be able to march my army over and across into take Copenhagen, and that should be a pretty important step for me to take over the really the North Europe nations. Technology come along pretty good. Still, I've got a little bit left of this Polish force. The two armies, they've consolidated into one, and I'm going to try to completely knock this army out. Alright, so, you know, I always wonder, why the hell do I always have to start, like, miles and miles away from them when they want to sit on their hands, and then it takes forever. And for a battle that should be super simple for me to just out and out whoop their tail, I sure am sloppy in this one after such a decent battle last battle. Yeah, just I don't really play a real clean game in this one, or battle in this one. Although I do start off pretty well, I end up letting them get into my artillery, and it's just, you know, I really like that artillery. I had them really ranked up, and oh my gosh, it just it hurts watching. So yeah, just for such a depleted army to cause me so much problems is just such a disappointment, and not a really bright moment. And geez, what was I thinking? But anyways, I didn't even need all the artillery in this one. Artillery is too expansive for so many small units to fight. I should have left 2 out of this battle. but yeah, just not brilliant. So, anyways, end up winning it, and I mean, I win it pretty easily, but still, just the fact that my artillery took as much damage as it did just is really infuriating, if you will. And here's the final of the battle, as they've had enough, and so have I.
Troupes, en avant! Milord? Préparez les troupes pour la bataille!
Put them down. Whatever you do, act quickly before the riot becomes a rebellion.
Alright, so I got several rebellions I'm going to have to deal with here. But it's time to take a look at the newly acquired lands as well. Let's get them back over here so we can repair this these ships here and get them traded out with some fresh ones. One more Spanish fleet I'm going to have to deal with here. Not really a concern. Onward. Yeah, so things are looking pretty great here on the coast of Spain. I'll be able to go after Gibraltar and Morocco here fairly quickly, and just keep my trade ships going over to the trade ports, which I should have done many turns ago. But hindsight is Okay, so took a lot of beating on that battle, but we should be able to take Copenhagen still. Got this rebellion in West Prussia I'm going to have to deal with. East Prussia's looking fairly good. Of course, Poland's looking pretty crappy. And let's see, I should be able to swing over to Lithuania fairly soon. I got just a small remnant left of that army. I'm going to leave it behind and go ahead and take Transylvania. Figure Austria can deal with that army. And time to trade that Transylvania on to Austria. Okay, time to get some of these ports built up. So I didn't show the trade to Austria, but I did trade Transylvania to Austria just so I can keep that army rolling. Don't have to worry about that region right now. Alright. And can put Poland, Lithuania out of this match. Naples is looking tremendous.
Préparez-vous, marchez.
So Central Italy. I mean, really, Italy has helped me boost my economy tremendously. Can't wait to get Brandenburg making money. It's taken a long time to get United Provinces region turned around over in Holland. Okay, let's look at technologies. This we don't need yet. Let's get that. Okay, that's good, and that's good. Alright. Okay, we're going to end the turn. Okay, so Denmark is coming out to play. This should be a pretty fun battle. They've got, let's see, 2 cav there, 1 cav here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 line, and 4 art. Alright, so the battle has started. Going to be aiming for this artillery first. Actually had a mishap when I was turning off my art. It's gonna be hard to hit them. Got one. Kind of leaving their art unprotected. See if we can get some of this cav. They got pretty damn large cav units. They're gonna protect it now. Let me have it. It's actually set up a pretty good target, though. Alright, so they're going to come at me full on with everything they got. And let's get them out of there. It's going to make for quite an intense moment here in a minute. Damn it. You see, it pissed me off because their cav pulled away just as I was opening up with a canister. Let them get all their volleys and time to pull back. So I was able to get my cav around to the other side of the flank and work on that right side, but they're going all out, balls to the walls to my artillery, and I guess I just thought they would break a little quicker here, but they're gonna actually get into my artillery, and that's not gonna make me very happy. Not at all. You see, I'm doing damage to him, but, you know, I am pretty outnumbered in this match. So, here, I think it's right about here, yeah, I get hit by that cav unit. So I'm going to try and retreat them out of it. This is just going to totally throw a wrench into my defense. So I've got to try to regroup here as best I can. And there's you can see the cav is going to come in on the left and just throw a big wrench into anything I was going to try to do to defend against what they were doing against me here. Just as I'm pulling back that line on the left too. Not really a good spot at the moment. Gonna try and pull back and regroup here. Got my cav in a pretty dangerous situation, and that's my general, so I'm trying to get him behind my lines to safety. Because if I lose my general, it's gonna be bad, very bad. And my Swiss just took a ridiculously devastating charge. I mean, just ridiculous. And yeah, they're between the Danish cav and the Swedish cav are very large cav units, and they can cause quite a bit of problems. So these cav units coming in here are really slowing down my pullback, but I've got to try to, unfortunately I have to square up, and they're going to start shooting me up in my square. But now I'm going to get back into formation, and I'm going to, as soon as I break that other line, cav here, come on boys, I'm going to use a falling line tactic on it, on this, to try to regroup, because I have taken some damage here. Run, you idiots! Yeah, you can see I'm not pleased with my guys at the moment. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the falling line tactic, what I'm going to be doing is, my lines take their volleys, I'm going to start rolling them back, so that I'll always have fresh volleys pouring into the enemy ranks. So you can see on the left, my line is using its volleys, so I'm going to, as soon as it's finished, I'm going to roll that back, and likewise with my my other lines here. As they take their volleys, I will roll them back as well. So the point is to continuously put them in as much fire as possible. And you can see they're being nice enough to pull up and stop for me. So these lines are getting their volleys, and my lines are not, I think they might be a little tired at this point too. I'll have to check. Little misclick there. Okay. As soon as he fires his volley, it'll roll him back. You can see I'm putting a lot of damage on them. For every bit of ground they take, they're going to pay for it tremendously. So, Jesus, that artillery is just causing me a lot of headaches, though, because it's definitely quite annoying. So these, my right's taking their volleys, roll them back, get my cav back as well, can't lose my general, and again, just keep folding, letting them take the damage along the way. This way I stay as healthy as possible, and just keep whittling them down. Fire, boys. You see that artillery fire still just coming in. Okay. So you can see how effective this tactic is, as it's routing them out and thinning their ranks down quite a bit. So now that I'm starting to really whittle them down, next part is to get prepared to, on the next volleys, go into a bayonet charge on them, because they're going to be, their morale is going to be pretty low, and their men are depleted. So as I'm running up, they're not going to get much of a volley on me. So as soon as my lines volley, come on boys, tear them up. We'll stick the bayonet on. Get him. Get him. Go. So yeah, you can see the effect it has when you have whittled them down with a lot of gunfire, and then you give them a good shock charge with the bayonet. It's gonna pretty much just get contagious amongst all their lines. As you can see, they're just one right after the other is wavering. breaking. So here pretty soon their artillery will be unprotected and easy prey. So what started out as a pretty tense battle turned out okay, not the best, but we will have to live with it. A lot of men on that one, but whew, that was a tough one. Okay, we'll deal with this rebellion in Brandenburg, and the results are in, and it's victoire. And likewise, West Prussia, and the results are in, and victoire.